everyone, welcome back to my channel, or welcome if this is the first video of mine that you are seeing. And if you are new here, my name is Julia Kelsey. I'm 25 years old. I live in Orlando, Florida, and I have a budgeting and money management coaching business that I started over on Instagram, but have brought over to YouTube as well. And this is where I show others that budgeting and money management can be simple and actually enjoyable, and help them get to the place where they're easily accomplishing their financial goals while still being able to live a life that they enjoy. Today's video is going to be another budget with me video, this time for the month of July. So I've done many of these videos before on my channel, but this is where I walk you through the month before it started and show you what I have planned for my finances. So I show you what I expect my income to be, what I expect my expenses to be, and what goals I'm expected to work towards and put money towards. And as always, I will be showing you my budgeting template in this video, and if you like this spreadsheet and think it might work for you, I do sell it individually on my website for just $10, and that includes the budgeting template I'll show you today, as well as the recap summaries that I show you in my budget recaps, as well as a bunch of other trackers. So if you're interested in that, I will leave the link in the description, and all of these templates are always included in any of my coaching packages as well. So now let's get started and see what I have planned for the month of July. So starting with my income like normal, I have the different components blocked out for privacy, but in total I expect to have $4,400 come in the month of July, and I'm estimating this to be a little bit higher than I have in months past, just because I've noticed a little bit more coming in from like side jobs and things like that, and so I'm comfortable upping this estimate just a little bit for the next month of July. And then moving on to my expenses, starting with my fixed expenses. These are the ones that don't really change much month to month. They come out on the same day, usually are the same amount, and they're pretty consistent month to month. So I'll go through these pretty quickly because they are pretty similar to the previous months. However, starting with the first one, which is my rent, this actually has increased a little bit from prior months, and that is because I re-signed my lease, and as can be expected, the prices went up. So I'm estimating this to be $1,720 in the month of July. This estimate might be a little bit high because this is the month where the lease is like turning over. So half of the month will be at the old rates, and then half of the month will be at the new rates. So I'm just estimating a bit high, and if I come in under budget, then I can just allocate that money elsewhere, but it's better to be on the higher side than not budget enough. And I always like to preface that I live in a luxury building in downtown Orlando, so this is reflective of that location and the amenities of the apartment. And then the next one is just my car payment, so that's its normal $303 that I pay every month towards my car. And then the next one is my Wi-Fi, so that's $34.99. And then I have two gym or fitness related memberships. So first one is a Crunch membership, and that is just $10.60. And then the next one is an Orange Theory Fitness membership. I just have the basic one where you get 4 classes a month, and that comes to $69 per month. And then a couple more subscriptions. These are for my business, so I have a Canva subscription and then also like my website renewal. Both of those together come to $58.99. And then a couple more personal subscriptions. Amazon Music is $5.65. My Hulu, which is basically like my cable, I don't have any other like streaming or cable services, it's all just encompassed here, and that's basically $80. And then iTunes, which is like more storage and stuff for my phone, comes to $2.99. And then the next two do fluctuate slightly. However, I do still consider them fixed expenses because I know they happen every month, and I've gotten really good at estimating how much they will be at this point. So the first one is utilities, and I'm just estimating that to be a little bit above $150 in the month of July. And then insurance, this is my car insurance, and then a tiny bit of renter's insurance as well. My renter's insurance, I believe, is going to go up as well, so I'm estimating a little bit higher than I might have previously, but that is $132 for July. And then moving on to my variable expenses, so these are the ones that are going to fluctuate a little bit more month to month. They're the ones you spend in day to day and are going to be the ones you want to keep the closest eye on. So the first one is eating out. I do tend to eat out what some might think is a lot, so I do like to reflect that in my budget, and since the beginning of the year I've been doing $40 a week. I'm doing that again in July. So since there are 4 weeks in July, I am budgeting $160 for the entire month. And then next is auto, and this is actually a pretty similar budget to the food. I'm doing $40 a week in this category as well. That seemed to work well for me the past couple of months, and I don't foresee anything changing too drastically, so I think we're good to do that again in July. And then the next category is my groceries category. This includes HelloFresh boxes as well as just my normal grocery trips that I do every other week. I do like to get HelloFresh just because it makes it easier to cook for just one person, so I normally budget to do 2 or 3 boxes a month, so that's reflected here, and then every other trips to the grocery store for breakfast items, Diet Coke, any random things that I might need like that. So I'm doing $300 again in July, which is what I've done for the past couple months and seems to be working really well. I was over budgeted in this in June, but also I mentioned in my June recap that that was a 5-week month, and realistically I probably should have increased that budget a little bit given the extra week. So I'm still fine even though I went over in June, going back to my normal budget in July because it's a shorter month, and realistically I know that this is a good budget for me for a 4-week month. And finally, the last category is my miscellaneous category, and this really just encompasses everything that's not included in any of those other categories. So just those random expenses that pop up throughout the month would fall under this category, and I'm doing $50 again in July like I normally do. And I do have one other line item here, which is my checking account cushion, and this is basically the buffer I have sitting in my checking account at any point in time in case bills come out higher than expected, or I have some kind of unexpected expense that I need to have money readily available for. And I already have a good buffer sitting there, so don't normally budget to put anything towards this. However, if I have like $1 or $2 left over at the end of the month, this is normally just where I will stick it to add to that buffer. So in total, in the month of July, I expect my expenses to come to $3,238. Now moving on to my sinking fund categories, and as a reminder, sinking funds are like mini savings accounts where you're setting aside money for a particular larger expense, maybe an unexpected expense that you know will come up at some point. You just might not know when, and you might not know how much. So you're just preparing ahead of time. So like I mentioned in my June budget with me, my June budget recap, my sinking funds are kind of coming back into priority, while at the beginning of the year they had kind of been on the back burner, and that's mostly because I was doing quite a bit of spending and I went negative in a few accounts, and I've been losing my buffer in a few accounts. So I want to make sure I reprioritize a little bit, start focusing on my sinking funds again, get the ones that are negative back to positive, and start building up buffers in my emergency categories again. And the first category here is a good example of that. This is my clothes/beauty category. This is pretty straightforward. It's just clothing, hair care, skincare, makeup, any purchases like that would fall under this category. And this is one where I did do a lot of spending in like May and June and made it quite negative, so I want to replenish that amount. So this is actually my top priority category to get that out of the negative. And I'm going to put $85 towards this category in July, whereas at the beginning of the year I was only doing like $15 or whatever was left over. And then the next category is my fun category. This is kind of like my entertainment or going out type category. Those kind of purchases would fall under this category. This one is one that has not been a priority for pretty much the entire year, and it's pretty much staying the same. I think this one might be like negative $20 or something like that, but I'm not worried about it at all. There's been very little spending in this category, which I've been doing on purpose so I can prioritize other things, and I expect that to continue. So I'm not going to worry about putting anything into this category at this point. And then the next one is my holiday/gifts category. This is mainly my Christmas fund, so I want to have $600 by December to spend on Christmas gifts. So that is the main priority of this category, but also if I spend anything on like birthday gifts, Father's Day gifts, Mother's Day, anything like that would fall under this category as well. And so I normally just do $50 a month. That would get me to the $600 by December, and then if I do spend anything extra, I'll make sure to replenish that amount so I can still have the $600. So like I said, I'm doing $50 in July like normal. And then the next category is my household category. This would just be for like things around the house, decor, cleaning supplies, blankets, candles, anything like that would fall under this category. Again, not a big priority. I don't expect to see much spending in here. I have considered starting to put like $10 or something little into this account every month because I am considering buying a new vacuum. So that is something that's on my mind that I might start working towards. But as of right now, not anything too pressing to start putting into this category. So again, I'm not going to do anything in July. And then the next one is Nico's category. So this would just be anything I need to purchase for Nico, his vet appointments, grooming, food, toys, anything like that would fall under this category. Normally I like to do like 75 or 80 in this category per month, but I did just do a lot of purchases for him, so I don't expect too many big purchases coming up in the immediate future. So I held back just a little bit in this category so I could put more towards clothes/beauty. So I'm only going to do $50 this month, and then probably go right back to that $75 to $85 budget in August. And then the next one is my car maintenance fund. This is another one where a lot of spending has happened in the past couple of months. First, it started out with just an oil change. That turned into needing a wheel alignment, and then I got a flat tire, had to buy a new tire, just a bunch of things happening at once. At the beginning of the year, I did have a good decent buffer going here, and that has quickly gone to zero and now needs to be replenished. So I'm starting that out with doing $50 in June, and then we'll quickly replenish this as fast as possible over the next couple of months. And the next one is my medical category. So this would just be in case I needed to go to urgent care or buy a prescription or anything like that. And I have a decent buffer going here, and again, don't foresee any expenses coming up in the immediate future. So I'm okay with not doing anything in this category, probably just for this month, so I can focus on some of the other ones, so not doing anything in this category in July. Similarly, for my tech category, I've talked about this a lot, but this was the category that I used to purchase this camera at the beginning of the year. I had made the category quite negative and then used a little bit of my emergency fund to replenish that amount, and right now I'm just kind of replenishing that amount that I took from my emergency fund. So anything I'm putting towards the sinking fund throughout this year is going to go back to my emergency fund. That hasn't been a whole lot for the first half of the year because, again, I've been prioritizing other things. If I do happen to put anything towards this, it would just go back to my emergency fund, but it doesn't look like that will happen in July. And then finally, the last two are just my yearly bills, so bills that come out once a year instead of once a month, but I do set aside for them every month so that I have the larger amount ready to go as soon as those bills come out. So the first one is Amazon Prime. I just do $10 a month for that. And then the other one is my Crunch renewal, so my yearly renewal for the gym, and that is just $5 a month. So in total, I expect to put $250 towards my sinking funds in July. And then moving on to my savings section, and there's really just one item here, which is almost like another debt item. This is my student loan fund, and this is basically a savings account where I will accumulate $15, $20, $25 that I have left over in any given month, accumulate a larger amount, and then that's what I'm going to use to make extra student loan payments. Unfortunately, in July, I'm not budgeting to put anything towards this because, again, I'm focusing on rebuilding some of those seeking funds. However, we saw in June that I hadn't budgeted to put anything towards that and then ended up almost putting $100 towards it because I had extra income. So hopefully the same situation will happen again, and if I do have any extra income, this is the first place that it would go. And then moving on to my debt section, and this is just my minimum student loan payment, which is just this normal $911 that I pay every month. And finally, that brings us to the overview section where we're able to see that I have allocated every single one of my dollars, and we can see that it's green and zero, so I know that I've given every single one of the dollars that I expect to come in, I've given each one of them a job. So that is it for my July budget with me. I hope you guys enjoyed this video and found it helpful, and if you did, make sure you give the video a thumbs up. Also, don't forget to subscribe so you can see more videos like this from me. Also, go follow me over on Instagram so you can see content from me in between YouTube videos, and with that, I will see you guys in the next one.